Hello everyone. Welcome to the new academic session 2020-21. I am Bindu Sabu. I will be your social science teacher in this academic year. Your first lesson is Sources of History. In this lesson, we are going to learn about what is history, how do the historians study the past, and how the sources of history help us in knowing about the past. Let us start. Introduction to History and Sources. When we look at the newspaper in the morning, we come to know about the incidents that took place on the previous day. This way, if we start looking at the older newspapers, we can know about what happened in the past few days, months, or years. However, how can we know about the distant past, the time when we were not born? Photographs and detailed information given of the past events in the mass media like newspapers, magazines, TV, etc. help us to know our history. What is history? History is the study of the past organized and arranged in a sequential order. The historians study the past through the materials available in the present day world. These materials that help the historians to reconstruct the past are called the sources of the history. There were no newspapers or photographs in the ancient and medieval period. The historians then use various other kinds of sources to reconstruct history. It is necessary to have knowledge of the past and to know and understand the present situation. The archaeologists study the past through material remains. Who is archaeologist? Archaeologist is a person who studies human history and prehistory through the excavation of sites and the analysis of the artifacts and other physical remains. What is archaeology? Archaeology is the study of the remains of human life in the past. Field archaeology is extremely essential for the study of the periods for which we have no written records. Classification of sources. The sources of history can be broadly classified in the following manner. First one is archaeological sources. We come to know history through the sources like stamp, an idol, a seal, utensils, vessels, and various other tools. We know history of thousands of years from old or ancient buildings, forts, temples, step wells, and other sites. When collecting photographs, old paintings, sculpture, architecture, etc., we gather not only the importance for the history of art but also the importance of social and cultural information about the period of study. Coins were issued by the rulers of the ancient and the medieval period also. The coins can provide various kinds of historical information such as dates and name of the rulers, their images, religious beliefs of rulers, etc. You are aware of the incidents and personalities of the 20th century from articles and photographs. Since our history is very ancient, we are always eager to know what people were eating and wearing in, how they lived, and in what types of houses and the activities that were a part of their daily life. Inscriptions. Inscriptions are writing engraved on rocks, pillars, cave wells, buildings, clay and copper tablets, etc. The study of inscriptions is called epigraphy. Inscriptions provide us extremely valuable information such as names and dates of kings, achievement of kings, the extent of their empire, important events during their rule, their royal policies, economic transactions, donations, languages of a period, etc. Inscriptions are preserved in archives. Archives means places which store historical records, such as the National Archives of Delhi. Literary sources. Tadapatras and Bhojapatras. The early Indian texts were written primarily on palm leaf Tadapatra or birch leaf Bhojapatra manuscripts. Bhojapatras means the bark of a tree on which books were written in ancient times. Manuscript is books written by hand on paper or palm leaf or birch bark. The Tadapatra and Bhojapatra manuscripts written mostly in the Pandu script. Bhojapatra are made from the skin of a tree named Bauj. Although most of the Pandu manuscripts have been destroyed by insects, some are still preserved in temples, viharas, libraries, and government museums. Using these sources, we get a lot of information about kings, administration, and public life in ancient times. As these materials are perishable means something that decomposes and wastes away. As these materials are perishable, the oldest specimens of the manuscripts did not survive. However, many later manuscripts, sometimes with beautiful illustrations, can be seen in various libraries, museums, and collections across the country and the world. The texts such as Ramayana and the Mahabharata are immensely valuable resources for knowing about ancient Indian society, culture, politics, and religion. Ashwagosha's Buddha Charita describes the life of Gautama Buddha. Harsha is the biography of the Pushabuddhi king Harshavardhana, composed by his court poet Banabhatta. The Chinese travelers such as Fahian, Huansang were more interested in the history of Buddhism and the Indian society than political events. Here ends your first lesson, Sources of History. Thank you.